they show who Stephen was at as of the time he was brutally killed. But we have seen Sydney grow since he was born. I'm sorry I'm addressing you. The mother is still looking up one or two things. But since Sydney was a product of both of us, when it needs her to clarify something, Jennifer, I've finished, she will. But Sydney, when he was born, he was our joy. He was a lovely boy. And he grew up as a lively boy until he met his death on Friday. All the neighbors, all the people in the neighborhood will be able to testify to that. He transited from childhood to from a child, a boy, and at the time he died, certainly he was a fine gentleman. And throughout, Sidney has been humble. He has been a very, very obedient boy, and extremely purposeful. If he set out his
Webale nnyo munnaye tuli wano mu Mbale City mu maka ga kitaawe omugenzi nga tugezaako okugoberera okufa kwa munnaffe Sydney Lugonyo Jaabi ng'ono gwenyimiriddeko naye wano ye taata we w'omugenzi ate nga abantu bakuŋŋaanye wano tugenda kubaako ne service okubanga tutabira omwoyo gw'omugenzi especially wano mulirwano naye nga olunaku lw'enkya tugenda kubanga omulambo gutwalibwa e Sironko mu Bweri Town Council tegenda okuzikibwa. Bwe tujjidde ku mpewo nga taata w'omugenzi abadde ali kuwa ku speech era ndowooza kambeere nga mubawa asobole okuba nga agenda mu maaso ne speech ye ku omwana ono akuze atya, engeri gy'amukuzaamu, obulamu bwe engeri gy'azaabeeramu, ayingira atya mu rugby, omuzannyo gwa rugby, ebyo ebibadde bigenda mu maaso.
Sorry about that mishap. I was saying Sydney was very purposeful and very, very, very hard-working young man. Sydney, as I said, was a joy to be with. In childhood and even when he was now a man, it was very, very nice to be in his company. My son, we believe that As parents, we gave him the best we could afford in life. He started his school in a nursery school called Good Foundation, which is not very far away from his home. After which he went to Kokonjeru Primary School, which is, I think up to now, reputed to be the best primary school within Bali. After which he went to Namilango College, and from Namilango College he went to Ndeje SS. That's where he did his S4, Ndeje SS. And Ndeje SS, Sydney, did very well, and he was called to King's College Budo. And from there he did his HSC, and he was admitted to Makerere University to do a bachelor's in the software engineering. Now, Sydney was extremely, has been extremely a very obedient child. And the only time I thought Sydney disobeyed me, and I was a bit upset, was when he took on the game of rugby. Now, as a lawyer, I thought that was not a game, could indulge in. I was encouraging him to play lawn tennis, to play chess, the way I was doing, but he could not hear any of that. So I thought he had disobeyed me, but he continued. So one time I was called to King's College Budo. They told me, your son is in the sick bed. So now when I went to the sick bed, I thought he had the malaria or what. So when I went there, I found the young boy had fractured his leg. And I asked, they said it's rugby. I told him, you man, I told you. I brought him to hospital, but grudgingly. Eh? And we came to Mulago, we met our friend in Mulago there called Dr. Arnold Nambasi, who assisted us, and we worked on him, and he went back to school. But even after that, he continued with what? With rugby. And it reached the point where the mother was supporting him, so I was defeated. And I left him to continue with his what he thought was best. So, and he did. He continued. I never used to go and watch his rugby, but the mother was a fan. She would be glued on TV wherever there was a game of what? Rugby. And at one time you would be with her, but she would be as if the coach. Now, why did they put Sid in here? They should have put. You see, so uh, by the time he met his day, Sydney was a giant in rugby. He was a big name in rugby. Uh, the person, his cousin is here, They have been playing together in Pirates. Where is Ivan? Yes. So it is Ivan Magomo who touched him, encouraged him. So they have been together uh, in this good. We now came to realize that I think it was a good game. Uh, uh, I'm sorry. I've now been joined by. I've been joined by my wife, and there's I call her Princess. This one is called Vanessa Vera Nandudu. She had a call with me. She wanted to include my name on her name, Javi, but I refused. So it annoyed her very much. But inwardly, I never told her, but inwardly I said, well, one day you may also add some other name. Uh, the she's the one who follows Sydney. There is Godwin, Javi, follows Vanessa. Then this one is the little princess, Precious, Mary, Nabuzali. And this is our last born, is Rene, Deus Paul, Javi. They are the siblings who have lost a brother. And they loved their brother. He was an inspiration to them. Uh, I told you that the time I disagreed with Sydney was on the issue of the game of rugby. But at all times, he was a very, very obedient boy, apart from the game of rugby. Now, later on in life, I discovered that I was wrong and he was right. Concerning rugby, I was wrong, he was right. And we have been looking, for us, we have been looking at Sydney as our small boy. Yes. And of course, in the family lineup, Sydney is number 3 because he has the other two brothers who are slightly bigger than him, older than him. So, yes, now, fast forward. What happened? No, it was on Friday. It was on Friday, and maybe to be precise, around around 7 or between 7 and 7:30 in the evening when we got news that Sidin had got an accident. And the person who received that news was the sister. I had been trying to call his number, but it was off. But around 7 something, the number was on, the sister tried. So this gentleman said, the owner of this phone got an accident, and if you want him, try the casualty in Mulago. The small girl wanted further details. That gentleman seemed irritated and told the girl that if you want him very much, go to the mortuary in Mulago. And switched off the phone. So the girl called the mother. He called me later on. That story, my daughter will talk about it in a summary form, and my wife. We were in Mulago, but we could not access the body because the mortuary attendants told us that the bodies that they received before 6, they are taken into another compartment and closed up there. The ones that were available, but still we could not see, were the ones they were receiving at that time. So, we lived with this uncertainty until the following day, on Saturday in the morning. In the morning, because I went to Mulago very early in the morning at around 8, stood around there, and by around 8:30, they brought my son. I looked through the mirror and I almost collapsed because I got now to this reality that my son had died. From what I saw, I think he died a very painful death. The attacks on him were vicious, very savage. You could see from the injuries inflicted on him. So we could not get the body until a postmortem was done. So I personally now went to Kira police station, where I fortunately met. But my brothers-in-law and other people had been there the previous night. When I went there, I found them still pursuing that matter. But fortunately, we got a few people we knew. And when they asked me, what are you here for? I said, my son, he had an accident and he died, so I've come for a report. So they said, who is that one? I mentioned his name. He said, oh, that is a case of mob justice on a suspicion that he had taken somebody's phone and the bag. Then I said, no, but that is not like my son. So I described who my son was to these police officers. And I also told them that he's a national rugby player, he plays for Paris, whatever. So along the way, they said, now, this is a serious matter. Let us now go back to the scene and reconstruct the scene and see what happened. So we went with them to the scene. Now, unfortunately, where this boy was killed is not very far from where we were living. It is like from here, I think like up to President's Lodge. That's where our son was killed. From like resort, the other resort, the other gate of resort up to President's Lodge. That was the distance. See, the mother will tell you that she was anxiously waiting for the son. So I saw the scene, I saw the instruments that were used, and the police was good enough to scan around. They saw a number of CCTV cameras to follow this and see what happened. So at the so they eventually gave us a report, did a postmortem, got the body, got the funeral service, handed it over, and went to church. But before we went to church, the police called me, and when I met them, said, but really, the footage, the footage, the footage, as we reviewed it, this is what it's showing. Now, it showed this young man, our son, moving off from the other side of the road, like from the other neighbor's side to our side. Now, along the way, where he was moving towards, there are two people who were trying to snatch a bag from a woman, but they were now running away. And that's how, when my son reaches the scene, and this woman is making an alarm, thief, they have snatched my bag, thief. So these borders and whatever came from nowhere and started pouncing on the what? Even without asking, whether they started beating the boy. The CCTV cameras are showing the two have not running away, but the person being beaten is very different. So that is what was gathered as we saw it, but the matters are still being investigated. And of course, contrary to what the social media wrote first, uh, for us now, we are comforted because even the police said, I think you are right. This was somebody who was in a wrong time, a wrong place at a wrong time. But that fun incident has taken away the life of our son, which is very, very, very unfortunate. So, as we talk, a number of arrests have been carried. We are being informed what is happening. We pray that those savages, are brought to book. And would have come possibly that Saturday when we brought the body. But the Rugby fraternity requested us that they wanted to pay their last respects to Sydney in their grounds in Weyogerere. And we went to Weyogerere yesterday. We reached there at exactly 9, at exactly 10. By the time we reached there, the grounds were already full to capacity, full. And when whatever began, their processing began, we were humbled. We looked at Sydney as our younger boy. He was our younger boy. But in that congregation, Sydney was a phenomenon. Sydney was huge, with a huge fan base. And whatever they talked about him there, whatever they talked about him, whoever is following the social media and whatever, you will know what they talked about our son. Now, it is so painful that a younger man of that potential, meets that kind of death, meets that kind of death. We as a family, we have lost Sydney. The Bamas are here because it was our brand. We have lost. As Bamasara, we have lost. And as Uganda, because he was playing for Cranes, rugby Cranes at a national level, we have also lost. Because I don't know rugby, I don't know how it is played, but those ones who are competent in rugby said the boy was very excellent. So it is really very, very painful that we lose such a talent in that kind of fashion and manner. We hope that that one, we hope, should not be continued in a civilized society. It should not be continued. Yes, I'm aware father has now come. My people here will say something because they have some different things about Sydney, which I would want you to hear. But allow me at this juncture, just very briefly, appreciate uh, all of you who have come here to pay your last respects to our dear son. I would like to specifically thank my cousin, brother, my colleague, my friend, Justice Vincent Wagona, a judge who has traveled all the way from Port Porto to come and be with us. Also, and his wife. I also want to thank my brother and long-term friend, whom I popularly call Mukwas, and his wife for having come to grace this occasion. I want to thank my brother Kamuli and Stephen and all the rest of our friends, my members of parliament. I have two parliaments in town where I occasionally pass. I thank you very much for coming. I would like to thank my, yes, I want to thank my colleagues in the legal fraternity, the magistrates, my colleagues, the lawyers, the judicial staff, the office of the DPP, the office of the Attorney General. I want to thank you very much for having come to stand with us. I want to thank my in-laws, my Bakwasus from Mapudu, my in-laws from Umashen Siu. Thank you very much for having come to be with us, to see off your nephew, your grandson. We thank you. And finally, we need to be agreed with the the Reverend Father, and he was gracious enough to grant our requests to allow us to start Mass at 2. It would be very, very unfair for him for us to continue talking when he has honored this. Yes, since Father has allowed us, I think let Mama come and say something about his son. Or he says the siblings say something. Maybe the small one begins first.
Probably not the person here who has known me for the longest, the last born. I've known him since I could understand, maybe since I was 4, at my earliest memory of him. I was at school the day he died. I was at school attending night preps. I came back a bit late at 10. And I received the news and I was in shock because my brother is gone and I couldn't believe it. My brother taught me very many things.